Welcome to Whiskey Adjacent, the mini series where I take a look at whiskey-ish type things, such as pre-made cocktails, traditional cocktails, flavored whiskeys, and more. I'm your favorite player one, Richard, and today we're going to be mixing up a little bit of rye, some lemon, and pumpkin. That's right, today we're going to be making a pumpkin spice whiskey sour. So grab those controllers, pour yourself a dram, and let's get into it. Fall is finally here, and you know what that means. No, nobody cares about leaves changing colors or football being on all weekend. No, what we care about is pumpkin spice everything. Your coffee, your candles, heck, even Dude Wipes now has a pumpkin spice scent. So why not your cocktails? Today we're going to be making a pumpkin spice whiskey sour. This recipe comes from Thirsty Whale on Instagram. If you haven't seen any of his content, you definitely need to check him out. He's constantly creating new and amazing cocktails as well as variations of cocktails that we all know and love. This recipe has 5 simple ingredients. It's going to include 2 ounces of 90 to 100 proof either bourbon or rye, 3/4 of an ounce lemon juice, 1 ounce of pumpkin spice syrup, 1 egg white, and 2 dashes of aromatic bitters. We're going to go ahead and put this stuff together, and I'm going to let you know just how amazing this cocktail is. All right, before we mix our cocktail, one thing I wanted to point out was the pumpkin spice syrup. Chances are you don't have any of that laying about the house, but Thirsty Whale has got you covered. He has a recipe for it on his page that you can check out. But the recipe is fairly simple. It is 1 can of pumpkin pie mix, 2 cups of brown sugar, and 1 cup of water. Heat this on the stove until it's well incorporated. I let mine cook down a little bit. Once it's cooled, add a teaspoon of vanilla, stir it around before putting it in your container that needs to be refrigerated. I believe he said it should last up to about a month and that you can freeze it if you have extra. All right, we're going to go ahead and mix this cocktail. I have my mixing cup here. I have my measuring device. We're going to go ahead and get started. So the first thing is going to be 2 ounces of either bourbon or rye. It's recommended to be between 90 to 100 proof, and then he recommends that you use rye. So I recently picked up this Pursuit rye, and so we're going to go ahead and use that in our cocktail. So 2 ounces into an empty container. I don't have ice on this because I do have a giant ice ball sitting over here in my highball glass. Next thing that we're going to add is going to be 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice. Now I squeezed these lemons yesterday, so we're going to give it a little stir, and then in goes 3/4 of an ounce. Guess I should look at what I'm doing, huh? All right. Next thing is going to be 1 ounce of this pumpkin spice syrup. Now, it's not just used for cocktails. In fact, he recommended that you could use this with your coffee. I bet you this would probably be really good with maybe like some ice cream or something like that. Just something to get you into that kind of pumpkin spice spirit. Oh yeah, nice and thick. Trying not to make too big of a mess. Oh, spoke too soon. All right. I don't have a small egg. We have large eggs here at my home. So according to the Googles, about half of an ounce is going to be the equivalent of 1 small egg white. Now, if you watched one of my videos before, the Bullet Whiskey Sour, you know that I don't typically put egg white into my cocktails, but for this recipe, we're going to do it. So half of an ounce egg white going into, all right. Well, that's a little bit more than what I want. All right, there we go. Half of an ounce, which is the same as 1 small egg white. and then 2 dashes of our aromatic bitters. Now, his recipe does call for 2 drops of saline into the mix. I don't have saline. He does, of course, have a recipe for that as well, but that's just not something that I took the time to make. So we're going to go ahead and give this a good shake for about 15 seconds, and then we'll pour it in. All right, that's roughly about 15 seconds, give or take. We're going to go ahead and pop the top. Little shaky shake. Get our strainer, and then pour it into our rocks glass with our giant ice cube. All right. His actually frothed up a little bit more than mine did. Maybe he has a different volume of egg white, or maybe I just need to let this guy sit. But we're going to go ahead and give it a little stir just so that way it cools off in the glass, and then I will give you a taste and let you know what I think. All right, here we go. Cheers, pumpkin spice whiskey sour. Okay, pretty good. If you like whiskey sours, this is exactly what it tastes like, just with a hint of pumpkin spice. The pumpkin spice isn't something that is very overwhelming, but it is definitely present. Definitely a nice drink to sit out on the back patio with as you're watching those leaves changing colors, or perhaps you have the football game on. In his recipe, like I said, or his video, his does tend to froth on the top. Perhaps maybe I should have frothed it, the egg on the side, but that didn't, if I don't recall him doing that in his particular video. So, but then he did also top it with some Angostura bitters as well. All right, guys, I certainly appreciate you sticking around to the end and watching my content. As always, if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers before the end of the year. Again, it's just a goal. I know it's a lofty one. If I get there, great. If I don't, that's okay too. Be sure to like this video, and in the comments, do you have a favorite fall cocktail? If so, let us know. All right, I'm your favorite player one, Richard. Have a good one.